Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. My name is Rémi Parmentier. I have been an ocean advocate for my entire adult life, so it is with pleasure that I have accepted the invitation from the city of Barcelona to be your facilitator today for this session called From Climate Change to the Blue Economy. This afternoon will also include another session after this one on the green economy. So to get started, with your permission, I'd like to quote the EU Commissioner for the Environment and Ocean, Virginijus Sinkevicius, who said last year that green without blue is yellow. That was his way of highlighting the importance of the ocean for sustainable development and for environmental protection. What distinguishes our planet from the rest of the planets in the entire solar system is the ocean that sustains life. With no living ocean, there is no living planet. It's as simple as that. And this is why a sustainable blue economy is so crucial. We have a great panel with us today, both physical and online, starting with Valérie Masson-Delmotte of the IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Valérie is with us from Paris, online. The IPCC is the organization that publishes periodic reports and summaries for decision makers that are so critical to advance international climate policy. Valérie was one of the forces behind the special report on the ocean and cryosphere that was published in 2019, a few weeks before COP25 held in Madrid. COP25 is remembered as the Blue COP because for the first time, the interrelation between the ocean and climate system was discussed, in part due to the impact of the IPCC special report. I always say that the ocean is the engine room of the climate system. So it makes sense to start with Valérie in just a few minutes. Thank you. Merci, Valérie, for being with us. We'll listen to you in just a minute. Also online with us from London is Ambassador Peter Thompson, the UN Secretary General Special Envoy for the Ocean. Peter Thompson comes originally from Fiji, and when he was his country's ambassador and permanent representative to the United Nations in New York, he played a leading role in securing that the ocean had a specific place within the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, adopted in 2015 by the UN General Assembly. Bula, as you say in Fiji, to say good day. Bula Vinaka, Ambassador. When you were the President of the UN General Assembly in 2016-2017, you were the architect of the UN High-Level Ocean Conference that took place in New York in June 2017. And we expect that there will be another one, another high-level UN Ocean Conference next year, not too far from Barcelona, in Lisbon, and as special envoy of the Secretary General of the United Nations, you are pushing for the implementation of SDG 14, the Ocean Sustainable Development Goal. And you are always also very good at reminding everybody that ocean change and climate change are two sides of the same coin. We look forward to hearing from you after Valérie. And then we will turn to Raphaël Cuvelier, who is here with us in Barcelona. You came especially from Paris. Raphaël, bonjour et merci. After working for many years as the project coordinator of the Prince Albert II of Monaco Foundation, you are now the vice president of the Ocean and Climate Platform, hosted at the Oceanographic Institute in Paris. And you have launched CTs, the program to address sea level rise in coastal cities. And watch how you spell cities. That's very interesting. So, as such, I know that you are in conversations with the city of Barcelona, and we look forward to hearing from you. There are also, three panelists here from Catalonia after our international speakers. We have Josep Luis Pellegrí, who runs the Institute of Ocean Sciences, Institut de Ciencias del Mar in Catalan, here in Barcelona. Mercè Conesa, who is the president of the Port of Barcelona, and Ignaci Ferreira, an entrepreneur who has recently started Sustainable Ventures, a local venture builders platform, that's how you call it, right? Focused on the blue economy. Bona tarda. In an article that will be published next week in Spanish, I refer to the Barcelona Convention for the Protection of the Mediterranean, the first regional seas treaty signed under the aegis of the UN Environmental Program. The Barcelona Convention will soon be 50 years old, and although it was modernized 30 years ago, I think it needs to be made more relevant to the challenges of the 21st century now. And I point out in the article to opportunities for the Barcelona Convention to set rules for the sustainable blue economy and sustainable blue tourism, taking into account lessons from the COVID-19 crisis. There is no crisis without opportunity, as the saying goes, and the city of Barcelona itself is looking to having its own center of excellence for the blue economy in the area of the Olympic port. I think it was announced publicly today, this morning. So maybe some of our speakers here will discuss these opportunities. So let's start the conversation now. Valérie Masson-Delmotte, can you hear me well from Paris? Yes? Yes, very well. Good, good. It's good to see you, Valérie. The most recent reports of the IPCC are paying increasing attention to the ocean. That's what we call the ocean and climate nexus, right? How do you think a city like Barcelona should react to the effects of climate change on their coastal environment? Do you think you can tell us from where you sit?
Sure, and Barcelona is one of many cities around the world closely connected to the coastal environment. And coasts are the most densely populated areas. Which are expected to be 1 billion people by 2050, everyone on Earth depends directly or indirectly on the ocean, which plays a key role in the global climate system and provides numerous services for food, health, well-being, and in places like Barcelona, identity, culture, or tourism. And the state of the ocean interacts with each aspect of sustainability. So let me bring to your attention a few highlights from the state of knowledge assessed in the IPCC Special Report on the Ocean and Cryosphere in a Changing Climate. This report documents the widespread footprint of human-induced climate change from the poles to the tropics, including in the Mediterranean region, and from the highest mountains to the depths of the sea. As you know, due to emissions of heat-trapping gases resulting from human activities, we are currently living in a world that's around 1 degree Celsius warmer than the end of the 19th century. And as a result, the ocean has warmed, and it has taken up more than 90% of the excess heat in the climate system. This makes climate change irreversible. Marine heat waves are more frequent, more intense. And because a warmer seawater is less dense, this inhibits the mixing and the exchange of heat, carbon, neutrons, and oxygen into the ocean. The ocean has also taken up 20 to 30% of our past carbon dioxide emissions, causing ocean acidification. And during this century, the ocean is projected to transition to unprecedented conditions, with increased temperatures, more frequent marine heat waves that are so damaging for ecosystems, further acidification and oxygen decline. And these changes in the ocean affect what we call primary production, which is the base of the ocean food web. Marine life is already affected. Changes in the ocean cause shifts in fish populations and has reduced the fish catch potential at the global scale. And risks for people, for communities, and for ocean ecosystems increase with the level of global warming. For instance, most coastal ecosystems like seagrass meadows will face moderate to high risks even for a level of warming of 1.5 degrees Celsius, which is very close to today. And these coastal ecosystems protect the coastline from erosion, they store carbon, and they are affected by ocean warming in addition to the adverse effects of local activities. Another aspect is linked to harmful algal blooms that respond to ocean warming, oxygen loss and pollution, and can have very negative impacts on health, tourism and local economy. A decrease in the mass of marine animals and the fisheries catch potential is further projected during this century, with larger effects for large levels of warming if greenhouse gas emissions do not decrease sharply. And loss and degradation of these marine and coastal ecosystems will affect incomes, livelihoods, aspects of food security, and compromise the role of the ocean in aspects such as culture, recreational activities that are important for our identity and our well-being. Let me now move to sea level rise, and global mean sea level is rising, with acceleration in recent decades due to increasing rates of ice loss from Greenland, from Antarctica, in addition to the expansion of a warming ocean and the continued loss of ice from glaciers. Sea level will continue to rise at an increasing rate in the coming century, and extreme sea level events, which were rare in the past, for instance once per century, will occur much more frequently in many places in the world, at least once per year by 2050. In scenarios where global warming is limited to below 2 degrees, future sea level rise reaches around 50 centimeters by the end of this century and around 1 meter by 2300. But larger rise is projected by 2100, including several meters of sea level rise by 2300, if our emissions of heat-trapping gases continue to increase. As you see, increased mean and extreme sea level rise, together with ocean warming and acidification, they are projected to exacerbate risks for human communities on coasts and low-lying areas. Slower rates of changes provide more opportunities for adaptation. And ambitious adaptation, including governance for transformative change, can reduce risks in many locations. What's also observed is that the impacts of climate-related changes in the ocean increasingly challenge governance efforts related to adaptation responses, sometimes pushing them to the limit. And for ocean-related changes, as for other climate changes, people with the highest exposure or vulnerability are often those with the lowest capacity to respond. Our report shows that there are far-reaching options provided by the restoration of ocean ecosystems, and this can be supported by protection, restoration, ecosystem-based management, and, of course, the reduction of pollutants and other stressors. The restoration, for instance, of coastal blue carbon ecosystems can provide carbon uptake and storage, storm protection, and benefits for biodiversity and fisheries. In Barcelona, like for all coastal communities, you're facing challenging choices to respond to sea level rise and all types of options, including protection, accommodation, ecosystem-based adaptation, coastal advance or retreat, wherever possible, can play important roles in shaping your responses. Climate resilience and sustainable development, they all depend critically on urgent and ambitious emission reductions, but they need to be coupled with sustained and increasingly ambitious adaptation actions. So to finish, what is essential based on the knowledge assessed in our report? Planning and cooperation across scales and sectors, investments in education and capacity building to address these unprecedented challenges. This includes climate literacy, monitoring, forecasting, using all sources of knowledge, including local knowledge, sharing information and data, and addressing social vulnerability and equity. There are also key aspects linked to finance and institutional support, and such investments all together, they can enable capacity building, social learning, and participation processes for choices to reduce immediate risks and build long-term resilience and sustainability. Beyond this brief summary, I want to flag that I'm currently working on the next IPCC report on the physical science on climate change, where we will again have a chapter dedicated to the ocean and sea level, and a strong emphasis on regional climate information to inform impact and risk assessments, with an interactive atlas supported by the Spanish government to facilitate the access to climate information and thus to inform your decision-making. Thank you very much for this opportunity to share these scientific elements, and in short, every fraction of warming matters, every ton of CO2 emitted or avoided matters, and every choice matters to enhance resilience.
Thank you very much, Valérie. You know that my mantra for many years has been break the silos. For too long, people working on ocean were not talking with people working on climate, and vice versa. People working on climate were largely ignoring people working on ocean. And thank you so much, Valérie, for your leadership in breaking the silos and making sure that people talk to each other and realize that when we discuss climate, we're discussing ocean and vice versa. We look forward to further progress of the IPCC in addressing ocean and climate, the climate nexus. I hope that you can stay with us for the rest of the session because some people and some of the speakers and some of the people in the audience may wish to speak with you in the later part of this session. So now let's turn to Ambassador Peter Thompson. Peter, can you hear me loud and clear from London? Yes? Yes, I see you're nodding. I can't hear you.
Yeah,
but,
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you very well now. Good to see you. As I said, you come from Fiji, which is a country which is part of the group known in the UN jargon as the small island developing states. Although your islands are hardly discernible on a world map, the exclusive economic zone of Fiji, the blue part of your country, that is, represents some 1,290,000 square kilometers. So to put things into perspectives, that doubles the size of metropolitan France, which is only 643,000 square kilometers. And Spain's size is tiny compared to Fiji. It's about half 990 square kilometers. So this is why, Peter, you always prefer, I know, to refer to your country as a large ocean state and not as a small island developing state. And with this comparison, I think everybody here gets an idea of why the economy of island states can only be blue and sustainable. So, as someone coming from a large ocean state, and as the UN Secretary General Special Envoy for the ocean, do you expect anything from a city like Barcelona that says that it has identified the blue economy as one of its opportunities in reaction to the COVID-19 crisis? What can Barcelona learn from your experience? Go ahead.
Well, thank you very much for the introduction, Remy. Valerie, I see you're still there. Thank you for all the great work that you're doing at IPCC and IPCC. I mean, we depend on you and IPBES for the science we need for the world that we want. And thank you to Barcelona for inviting me to address today's event. Greetings to you all as we gather together in cyberspace. I just heard the announcement that you're all appropriately socially distanced. But I hope that wherever and whatever your circumstances, that you and your families are safe and well. And always remember that we're all connected, as indeed we are with nature. As you may know, my special role as the Special Envoy for the Ocean is to lead the charge around the world for the implementation of SDG 14. That's the UN's Sustainable Development Goal to conserve and sustainably use the ocean's resources. We universally agreed to this goal at the United Nations back in the year 2015, but there is still much work to be done. Put it plainly, there cannot be a healthy planet without a healthy ocean, and the ocean's health is currently in decline. To give my remarks their true setting, please allow me to place them within the context of the times in which we live. In his State of the Planet address, delivered at Columbia University in New York last December, the UN Secretary General, I repeat, the UN Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, said humanity is waging a suicidal war upon nature. He reported that 1 million species are at risk of extinction and that ecosystems are disappearing before our eyes. He said the ocean is being overfished, is increasingly choked with plastic waste, and that due to anthropogenic GHG emissions, coral reefs are bleaching and dying. We have, in the shape of the Paris Climate Agreement and the UN's 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda, the blueprint for a secure and equitable future. The challenge is to implement the provisions of the blueprint, and it's no secret that we have been lagging. In his address to the UNFCCC COP in Madrid in 2019, Secretary General Guterres said that even if the Paris commitments were fully met, it would not be enough. He said then that the only solution was rapid, ambitious, transformative action by all governments, business, and civil society towards a common goal. And the common goal, of course, the transformative action to which all of us are called, is that of moving to a net zero economy by 2050. Science has established that this is the destination we must reach, one in which we emit no more carbon dioxide than we remove from the atmosphere. Get to a net zero economy by 2050, and we will keep global warming well below that fateful level of 2 degrees Celsius. If we greatly scale up our global ambition, it's still possible to keep global warming around the level of 1.5 degrees. But we'll need to work simultaneously at different levels to succeed. And the big emitters have to set new levels of ambition for the GHG emission reductions, and the basic countries must follow suit, and the rest of us must also do our bit. But we're talking here about everyone: governments, financial institutions, the private sector, NGOs, citizens, and cities. And that's where Barcelona comes in for me. I think in those last 2 sentences, I've answered the question as to whether there's a role for Barcelona in the upcoming global conferences, the Biodiversity COP in Kunming in China in October, and the Climate Change COP in Glasgow, Scotland in November, and of course the UN Ocean Conference in Lisbon next year. The answer to that is a resounding yes. We are all in this together, and the shared tragedies of biodiversity loss, the climate crisis, and the declining health of the ocean have the same root causes, namely those burgeoning anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions and humanity's disrespect for our place within the bosom of Mother Nature. As to the question of what should be expected of Barcelona as a center of excellence for the sustainable blue economy, my first piece of advice would be for this great city to become a paragon of virtue in recycling and the elimination of wastage. Think only of the fact that plastic pollution of the Mediterranean is chronic, and secondly, that between 30 and 35% of fish harvested from the ocean is lost or wasted. And I assure you that by establishing innovative solutions to these 2 travesties, Barcelona would be acknowledged globally as a blue economy center of excellence. I'd also challenge Barcelona to become a leader in research to develop sustainable aquaculture for species that can provide affordable nutrition, resilience, and equitable livelihoods. And believe me, there are some very good non-fed sustainable aquaculture options out there, and they can be at small scale for artisanal fishers to put in place. Hand in hand with all this should be leadership in the establishment and maintenance of no-take marine protected areas. We need to get to a 30 by 30 world by 2030. As to the question relating to sea level rise that Remy put to me earlier, this was a common one put to me when I was serving as the ambassador of a Pacific Island country. It's true that current sea level rise scenarios present low-lying island countries with immense challenges, but I've always made a point of highlighting the equally alarming problems for the world's great food basket river deltas, low-lying coastal plains, and port cities, especially those built on alluvial foundations. In short, sea level rise is an immense problem for humanity to address, both in terms of mitigation and adaptation. Here again, we come back to those anthropogenic GHG emissions and global warming, the ultimate causes of sea level rise, and repeat the universal imperative of unrelenting progress towards a net zero carbon world by 2050. In conclusion, I'm very encouraged to learn of Barcelona's blue economy aspirations. As you set out to fulfill this admirable goal, I urge you to have sustainability as your lodestar. The blue economy is not a solution if it is just one more round of linear exploitation of finite planetary resources. On the other hand, the sustainable blue economy, which is an essential element of our blue-green recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic, is rooted in circularity, resilience, and balance within and respect for Mother Nature. I thank you for your attention, and I have to give my regrets to Remy. I'm booked to speak at another event, so I'm going to have to leave it to Valérie to handle the denouement with you. But thanks everybody for listening, and all the best, and what a great aspiration you have in sustainable blue economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. You've been very practical, and I noticed people from the city of Barcelona taking copious notes of what you said. So you have mentioned in particular sea level rise as a key concern of the large ocean states, of course. And this is what Raphaël Cuvelier, who's here with us, is focusing upon now with his cities project about cities and sea level rise. I remember that when the advisory committee for the Barcelona ReAct conference held its first meeting in November 2020, a few months ago, I said to the rest of the committee, a bit provocatively, that I had the impression that we were a bit like the orchestra on the deck of the Titanic, because I was the only one raising the issue of sea level rise, which inevitably will affect Barcelona in the future. And they agreed with me. That's the good news. And that's why they decided to invite you, Raphaël. And so tell us, what can cities do to mitigate and adapt to sea level rise? Is Barcelona doomed? Or on the contrary, is sea level rise and the action that can be taken in that connection, is this an opportunity for the city? Go ahead.
Thank you, Remy. I'm very happy to be here on the shores of the Mediterranean, which I know very well, having worked for 50 years as program director of the Prince Albert of Monaco Foundation, leading climate change and biodiversity projects. I would like to warmly thank the city of Barcelona for giving me the opportunity to talk about the city's initiative launched by the Ocean and Climate Platform. And I'm looking forward to our upcoming discussion in the context of cities in the Med. Obviously, when you address climate issues, it's particularly motivating to work with cities. They are among the most involved, responsive, and innovative actors dealing with climate change, and it's very, very important and interesting to work with great cities such as Barcelona. But there is still a lot to do. The Ocean and Climate Platform was created in Paris at the occasion of the COP21 to promote ocean and climate issues in international negotiations. It now federates nearly 100 civil society organizations in France and around the world, NGOs, research institutes, and we are very pleased to count the Institut des Sciences del Mar here in Barcelona among our members, but also private sector players such as Veolia Group, banks such as BNP in France, shipping companies, museums, and others. The Ocean and Climate Platform is currently very involved in promoting discussions on the ocean within several formal working groups of the Climate Convention dedicated to the ocean and coastal areas. What about cities? We have decided to launch the Cities Initiative following up the conclusions of the IPCC Special Report on Ocean about sea level rise issues, which are particularly worrying. Valérie gave us a lot of information about the conclusion of this report. When you consider that by as early as 2025, more than 70% of the urban population could be living in coastal cities, you realize what is at stake. What is our objectives? It is to identify, to share, and to promote the solutions implemented by coastal cities and their territories in a science-to-policy approach. Science is one of the cornerstones of our project, and we want the solutions that will be promoted to be analyzed and on a solid scientific basis. For coastal cities and the surrounding territories, it will be a huge challenge. Issues such as keeping the population safe, protecting infrastructures and ports, relocating dwellings and business parks, and preserving natural areas need to be addressed in concert with all the populations and stakeholders concerned. Reconfiguring coastal cities and their territories while taking into account social, economic, and environmental issues will give rise to crucial and complex decisions in the coming years. What kind of solutions? What are the solutions? Cities aims to identify two types of solutions that cannot be addressed separately. First, we speak about technical solutions, focusing directly on reducing risks, retreat, relocation, defensive work, and also ecosystems and nature-based solutions. The major challenge is the integration of all these solutions. There is no one solution for all situations. We must combine different types of solutions adapted to each place. And second, in our project, we address solutions related to sharing knowledge and information between stakeholders, developing a risk culture through education and awareness campaigns, but also regulating and financing so technical solutions can be deployed. It's an important challenge to raise awareness and involve the population, and above all, to co-construct the solutions and the adaptation of the cities and its territory with all stakeholders, citizens, researchers, economic players, and politicians. The cities project is implemented in several regions of the world, in the Atlantic coast in Europe, in the Med, the West African coast, the West American coast, and the South Pacific. The project is structured in several steps. We are currently finalizing a state-of-the-art on how cities cope with sea level and related extreme weather events. We are in the process of mapping initiatives and solutions deployed in each region. And the next step will be to organize regional workshops to produce feedback, to analyze best practices, and to produce recommendations at regional and international level. This is the cities project in a nutshell. What about the Med? In the Med, the cities are much exposed. The large deltas, low-lying coastal areas, and the very high population growth of coastal cities are all factors of exposure to risk. In the Med, about 50% of the urban population lives less than 10 meters above sea level. The concurrence of sea levels and heavy precipitation may cause compound flooding in low-lying coastal areas, as it was the case in the catastrophic floods in Venice in November 2019. More than ever, it's a huge challenge to address sea level rise and extreme event issues in the Med. We therefore look forward to continuing our discussions with the city of Barcelona to join the initiative and to work together to move forward with other cities in the Mediterranean. Remy recalled us the legacy of the Barcelona Convention. At the occasion of its 50th anniversary, there would probably be an opportunity to advocate for a stronger integration of adaptation to sea level rise within the Convention. In conclusion, it's still too early for us to deliver outcomes, but having spoken with a lot of partners and stakeholders, I would like to underline 3 points which are often arising in the discussion. For a better territorial coherence and integration of all stakeholders, the issue of adaptation to sea level rise should be addressed in a global approach with the issue of mitigation and low-carbon economy. From this point of view, I would like to highlight a very interesting approach of the city of La Rochelle in France and its zero-carbon territory project. Second, the solution should be addressed in a systemic way, combining infrastructure, nature-based solutions, socio-economic and cultural issues. And finally, solutions and adaptation scenarios should be developed jointly with all stakeholders in a global understanding of the city and its surrounding territory. The acceptability of the inevitable upheaval is at stake, as well as the understanding of opportunities for the citizens and economic actors.
Thank you very much, Raphael. Excellent. I think everybody has got your message. The cities project has been established to react to sea level rise at the cities level, and you are placing a lot of hopes in partnering with the city of Barcelona. You said it, the Institute of Ocean Science, the Institut de Ciencias del Mar here in Barcelona is a natural partner for you because they are members of your Ocean and Climate Platform, and they have their own project also on that issue called, or partly on that issue, it's called Ocean Cities, right? But you spell cities in a more conventional way. And you've submitted this project to the UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development, which started in 2020 and will continue until 2030. Isn't that so, right? Josep Lluís, Director of the Institut de Ciencias del Mar.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Please, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, Remy. It's a pleasure being here. I appreciate very much this invitation, this opportunity to talk with our excellent speakers and in this panel. That's right, we also share this philosophy that we have to react, no? But allow me to tell, I think the title of the meeting is excellent, no? From climate change to blue economy, no? So this is really something to think about, no? And I would like to pose it from the perspective of Barcelona. Barcelona has got several elements that are singular and are excellent for a potential reaction. No? One of them is our tradition, maritime and fisheries tradition, which comes from very long. Another one is that we have 16 kilometers of coastline. Half of them are beaches that are open to the population, and there are no barriers, no obstacles. This is lucky because since we removed those factories that were in there, we have these 6 or 7 kilometers of spaces that are a natural connection between the city inhabitants and the sea, no? So we have to take profit of that. Another very important factor, I would say, is the capacity of Barcelonians, citizens in Barcelona and Catalonia and Spain in general. But I would say Barcelona is very spectacular in this civil association. We have thousands and thousands of civil associations, thematic and also welfare and collaborative, cooperative, and all sorts of civil associations. And I bet any of you probably belongs to one or more civil associations, no? And the fourth element is technology, knowledge. We have excellent scientific and technological research centers, universities, and hubs of innovation here in Barcelona. Our center, for example, is a center of excellence, Severo Ochoa, one out of 29 research centers in all fields of science that has this accreditation of Severo Ochoa. So it's an standing center, but not only ours. There are several universities, Politécnica Catalunya, Barcelona, and several technology hubs that are excellent. No? So probably one first step will be to say, okay, how can we put all this together to empower blue economy in the double sense of economy based on maritime activities, but also in the sense of sustainable economy. Okay, this probably is one first challenge, no? And this is very important. And I think we have actors like Barcelona Activa here in Barcelona that are excellent in this. They have a lot of experience and they can help all these elements to fit together such that we can react properly and have the most important and best possible synergies. No? But before going into that, I would like to point out why we want this. Why we want this blue economy? Why we want this new way of let's say well-being society? Why do we want this? No. Okay, I think that probably the first step to do is to think about the sort of society we want to belong to, that we want to build, and because everything is linked, we cannot aim to have a different way to connect with nature if we don't think of our role of how we fit in this nature. No? So I would say that the first reflection will be the most deep reflection, will be to say what is the model of society that we want. No? And I pose this because, okay, I think that we all would agree in that the people that have been living all their life, I've been living over 40 years studying the oceans, and one thing that the oceans have taught me, and I would say anybody that has this maritime experience that has been related to the oceans throughout their life, is that they are intelligent, that they are complex, that they have this natural harmony, and that it's an integration of many elements, but what comes out from this integration is something that has this vital intelligence that is spectacular, that is something that goes beyond imagination. No? So the question I would say is what we want to be. We want to be part of this intelligence, of this nature, of this harmonious way of development that is the result of 4,000 million of years of development, or we want perhaps to be part of the problem, part of the perturbation. No? When we talk about resilience, we say nature is resilient because it adapts to perturbation. So it's so intelligent, so complex, has been the result of so many years of development that has this capacity of adapting. No? So we want to be part of this nature, of this resilience. And I would say so. No? So this brings me to this idea that has been told before, no? And it's so important, is sustainable development. What is sustainable development? No? Development, what means development? It's the same in Spanish, in Catalan, desenvolupar. In Spanish, is the same, desarrollar. Yeah, I was forgetting. I had switched totally to English. Desarrollar, it's enrollar, take out something that is inside of you. Envelop, take out something that is inside of you. So we have to empower our own inner persons, but how we empower this? We empower this as being part of this nature, of this harmonious system where we belong. No? So we want to be part of it. We don't want to own it. Sometimes humans, we believe that we own everything, and we are not the owners of nature. We are not the owners should not be the owners of anything that has intelligence, that has life. No? So we are part of it. No? So this, I think, it's what is the first message of desenvelop. And sustainable, what means sustainable? No? Sustainable towards what? Towards an economy that has everybody wealthy but unhappy? Is this what we want? No, we want something, again, brings us to nature. Nature is harmonious, is happy, is natural. It's something that where energy, where love flows in between every compartment of nature. So that's happiness. That's something that where we all as individuals, all as a society, are aiming towards. No? We are aiming towards this happiness, and this is probably the only way that we want to be sustainable is being happy, being part of this harmonious nature. No? So I would encourage to listen and to learn from nature, no? Being part of it and not being its owner. No? Individuality is so important, really it's important, and this differentiates each of us, but it's really complementary. Nature is complementary. Everything. So our differences is what brings up this complementarity and brings up this capacity of having something that is so harmonious, so complex, so intelligent, much beyond any artificial intelligence or whatever we are trying to develop. So first thing we have to be is harmonious with nature. And I believe that Barcelona has got everything that needs to go into that direction. That's my message. I would say that after belonging to a research center of excellence and after 40 years of studying the oceans, I think that we go nowhere unless we go with the people, with society. The individuals and the society are the ones that will make the change. If they push forward, if they believe it, our role is to tell them, okay, this is how the system works. This is this so beautiful and so complex and so intelligent system is how it works. What do we want to be as a society? We want to have an attitude and in a way reflects and behave as nature does. Probably that's the main objective. That's the main thought that we have to have. We have to think, okay, this is where we are aiming towards. No? So, and I think Barcelona has the possibilities of being transformative, being inclusive towards this society in harmony with nature. Thank you, Remy.
Thank you very much, Josep Luis. The harmonious development goals, that's very interesting as a concept. It gives us food for thought. I think you've given us a good idea of how to put in practice the saying, think globally and act locally. React locally, I should say today. Merce Conesa, President of the Port of Barcelona. Whew, you have a big job. We're happy to have you here with us. Thank you for being here. Let me ask you a very direct question. Can I?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Have you learned anything from the previous speakers just now in the last 45 minutes? And what do you take home as president of the port of Barcelona? Also, maybe you can tell us, thinking of the sustainable blue economy, what are your needs? Okay. And also, do you think that sometime soon, the majority of the vessels coming in and out of your port will be propelled by hydrogen or by the wind engine? And are you already considering the infrastructure changes that this will require? Go ahead.
Thank you, Remy. These are very direct questions, and I will try to answer clearly. And it's not so easy because really we are breaking silos, because as a port authority, I'm sitting with experts in conservation, experts in environment, and as you know, port activity is a very industrial activity. I'm learning a lot in this panel, because it's not about only about the conservation of ecosystems. It's about our way of life. It's about also about economical activity. It's also about supply chain. And as you can assume, port is a part very important of the supply chain around the world, around the goods and around the world. So from the perspective of the Port of Barcelona approved 2 years ago a specific climate strategy, and approved also a wharf electrification plan. It means that this is a very ambitious plan among 90 million euros of public investment to electrify all the principal wharves here in Barcelona. And we have an agreement with 2 important terminals to develop this plan, Hutchinson Port Cargo Terminal and also Ferries Terminal. Because we know that already 30% of the vessels that are coming to Barcelona are ready to receive, to be connected by offshore power. Meantime, they are in port. So our goal is to provide with offshore power the principal wharves of our port in 2025, reducing CO2 emissions when vessels are inside port, of course. And also we want to guarantee that this energy will be renewable. We are developing our own grid, and we have the aim to be a neutral emission port in 2050. But let's go to the point that you put on the table, that I think that very directly, what is happening with the propulsion of the vessels? I think that this is a very important point. To be honest, in my opinion, vessel industry is nowadays focused in LNG solution. And we have to say what is happening now, because if we watch the Lloyd's List vessels orders, we can share with you that the companies are investing in LNG solution as a system of propulsion. So
maybe we should precise liquid natural gas.
Yes,
because
LNG,
maybe not
excuse
everybody
me. Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Remy. And this is a reality. So liquid natural gas, it would be the energy that vessels are going to use in a short term and also in a mid-term. I mean, if you ask me what is going to happen in short and mid-term, I have to say that the principal vessel companies are investing in new vessels propelled by LNG energy. But if we are thinking in long term, I am very confident in hydrogen solution. So Port of Barcelona trusts very much in hydrogen solution, but we identify some needs, and you asked me about our needs. And first of all, I want to say that we need a location. I mean, what area inside port is able to stockage or to generate this energy, first of all. So we now, the operations team of Port of Barcelona, are trying to locate this area, this specific area that needs also be very secure and very safe, because we are talking about energy and we need very specific conditions to locate this energy. Secondly, it's necessary that vessel industry begin to invest in hydrogen solution as a system to propel vessels. If not, ports cannot bunkering the energy that it's not need. So it's a reality and a fact that today we are not ready to hydrogen. But the third point for me is that we have to guarantee that maritime port operations with hydrogen will be so safe and secure than LNG are today and nowadays. And I think that we can guarantee in the future these solutions. In conclusion, we will be ready for hydrogen solution, but it will take much more time than we would like. I have to be honest. Port of Barcelona receives more than 9,000 vessels each year. And as a port, we are not only interested in zero emissions in port, of course we are very interested in this goal, but also we are interested in zero emissions in maritime operations. And it means that we have a very strong commitment, but we need a big alliance to develop it. And this big alliance is also with vessel industry, is also with International Maritime Organization to guarantee that we can protect the ecosystems and we can reduce CO2. So thank you. I hope I have answered all your questions.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Merci. With your permission, what I take home is that we have to work more to make sure that we expedite, we speed up the blue and green transition. Everybody's talking of the global Green Deal. There is no green without blue, as I said at the beginning. So let's work together to speed up that transition. You used the word safe. You said we need safe and secure energy, and you referred to liquid natural gas. Yes, of course, we don't want it to blow up in the middle of your port, but safe and secure, we have to think climate change. There is sources of energy that cause or contribute to catastrophic climate change are by definition not safe and secure. So let's work together for the transition. And we must always keep in mind that 80 to 90% of traded goods are moved by sea. So it's a major challenge, of course, and we're with you on that. The role of ports and harbors in the green and blue economic transition is phenomenal. So maybe some of the other speakers will want to comment on what you said, and of course people in the room and people online. But let's give the floor now to our last speaker on the panel, Ignaci Ferreira. And you are an entrepreneur, so you may want to speak directly to what we heard from Mercè. Bona tarda, Ignaci.
Bona tarda.
So you are, traditionally you were not, if I've understood correctly, you were not particularly focused on the ocean as an entrepreneur, but recently you created this new company, Sustainable Ventures, to develop the sustainable blue economy here in Barcelona. So welcome. Tell us why you made that shift, and tell us what you're proposing, what are your plans, what are your challenges, and tell us if you have any question to any of the previous speakers.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me to the session. To give you a fast answer to your question and let's say set some frame on it, it's true that I've been basically involved all my career in the business world, the last 13 years as CEO of a multinational corporation. But it's also true that when I was very young, and I told you that the other day in the morning, I was very keen on the ocean. So I was, when I was 14, I was the socio number 109 of Greenpeace Spain when you were the president. So it was great meeting you back. And I've been always quite very sensitive to what's going on in the ocean. In fact, I studied oceanography back in the 90s because I wanted to know about it. And putting all those things together, in the early 2000s, I started to cooperate with what later was called impact investing opportunities or social entrepreneurship, co-founding something called Ship2Be, which is currently the leading platform in Spain on that. And at a certain point in time, together with a group of friends, we realized that if we were able to restore the marine natural capital, which is marine environments, we could possibly have the possibility of bringing back ecosystem goods and services that had been lost. And guess what? If we get ecosystem goods and services back, we could probably monetize them sustainably. So let's say giving a second chance to humanity to do things right. So under this fundamental, let's say, philosophy or perspective, which was based on analyzing what was going on in the world, comparing different places in the world, and even discussing on the issue on how to protect, on how to finance marine protected areas with different experts in the subject, we decided to create Sustainable Ventures, which is basically technically a venture builder platform. So what we do is we look for technologies and science around the world which restore, enhance, and sustainably manage marine natural capital. That's our mantra. That's what we look for. And on that, we build profitable and scalable business opportunities, which is all as a whole becomes impact investing. So you have a purpose of restoring, enhancing, and sustainably managing marine natural capital, and you make money out of that, so you can finance all these restoration and conservation issues. So that makes it impact investing. That's why our motto, our tagline is empowering the oceans, because what we do through science, through technology, it's empower nature to protect itself by the value it creates. So giving this second chance on humanity. From there, what we started is we have been creating a network of scientific institutions around us, which we work with. We look for new scientific technologies, innovations. Currently, we have close to 160 institutions in which we cooperate, we have access, or we are in contact with. We have so far identified over 60 plus startups with entrepreneurs behind doing exactly what we're looking for, which is restoring, enhancing, and sustainably managing marine natural capital through technology, through mostly, as it was previously mentioned, I think by Rafael, nature-based solution, which is what we really think it works. And what we've seen is that the more we work and the more we get in depth into different spaces, the greatest technologies we are identifying. It is amazing how great things are being done by scientists all around the globe. And here in Barcelona, we have the example of ICM. They're doing extraordinary things and extraordinary discoveries that just need to get into the business world, get to be transferred as innovations. The same with Universitat Politècnica, the same with University of Barcelona, and with many other institutions we are working on. So in a way, what we are doing is basically bridging between science and business, or using your words, which I really like. So if you don't worry, I will quote on that. We break silos, because certainly we realized that there was, as it happens, let me say, this happened quite similar, and it was very inspiring for us. In Barcelona in the early 2000s, there was something similar happening with the biotech industry. Great innovations existing in hospitals and universities that needed to get into the business world. And there was a group of people currently very successful and well-known here that have been able to create a great ecosystem on that. We have been very much inspired by these people with whom we have talked to, and we are trying to do exactly the same in the blue economy arena. So identifying scientific innovations, technologies, and making sure that we can bring them into the business world. So breaking those silos, bridging between them. So we create sustainable and sustainable, let's say 360, so financially viable, replicable business models on that. Of course, it is not easy, and we are happy on that, on what we are doing. What are the main challenges we're facing? The first one we faced was, of course, financing. How to get investors to get into this ecosystem. So instead of looking for individual investors for the projects we were identifying, what we are doing now is we've partnered with experts on fund management firms, and we are now launching, together with those partners, a fund, specific fund, which is sustainable capital, focused on investing in technologies, in companies developing and implementing technologies to restore, enhance, and sustainably manage marine natural capital, which will be the first fund in the Mediterranean on that. And again, I would like to insist on that. We are partnering with experts. And I'm insisting on that because part of our philosophy is always partner with those that really know more than us on those issues, on those areas we are not experts on. Because we believe that blue economy is so transversal, it's so multi-sectorial, that we need to cooperate. We believe that it's the best way to reach success in developing blue economy as a whole is by generating partnerships, and specifically, I mentioned that previously, partnership as we are dealing with the public space in public-private partnerships, which is probably the best example we can use in this arena. More challenges we are facing. There's, of course, a regulatory frame which is not thought or designed for a blue economy because it's a public space, and I would suggest to optimize that, to make everything faster. We need more information. I think you mentioned that, and I also appeared in the discussion before. We need more information on what's going on in the ocean, so we need more data, not only satellite data, but also real data online, and this is accessible. We have seen technologies to do that as well. And finally, it is very important to get this collaborative culture between all the different actors that are playing. As a public space, there are many different players being affected, and if we all work together, we'll have the opportunity to do something great and win, all of us. If we all think about each other's own interest, we probably will not make it, and in the long run, we will all lose. And finally, some last comment I would like to make on is it was on the first Valérie's intervention. It's certain that we are dealing with the climate change. We are dealing with a very complex issue, and I would say a big problem with this climate change and all the effects it will have on the cities. But I would give some extra hope, which is if we can restore the environment, and we can do it, and raise ecosystem goods and services and get new, for example, regenerative tourism activities, so generate jobs and generate value, wealth, we can also regenerate the climate. So I would say, let's be a little bit more, I would like to bring some more optimism on the field and say, we can not only fight climate change by compensating, of course, net zero emission and, of course, absorbing CO2, of course, this is necessary, but we can go even one step further and even start thinking about restoring the climate. Because if we can restore the environment, we can also restore the climate. Now, that would be a challenge I will throw, let's say, to the whole audience.
Thank you very much, Ignaci. I called you Ignaci, sorry. Ignaci. And, you know, it's good to hear from a young action man. So we look forward to continue to work with you. And you obviously are an asset for Barcelona's blue economy ambition. We have about 20 minutes approximately left, and I'm wondering if I could ask, before you here in the room and online maybe have an opportunity to make a few comments or ask a few questions, I'd like to ask each speaker if you, in just a few words, no more than 1 minute each, and when I say 1 minute, it's 1 minute, what you take home from what you've heard from the other speakers. Did anything surprise you? Did anything give you hope? Or on the opposite, did it depress you? And I propose we continue in the same order, starting with Valérie. We know that Peter Thompson had to jump to another Zoom, but we have Valérie online. We're very grateful, Valérie, for you to have stayed with us. 1 minute.
So in 1 minute, I have to share my appreciation for exploring solutions, practical solutions, implementation that have been expressed by all the participants to the round table. And it's very much in line with the agenda of research and action that came from a large conference on cities and climate change from 2018. And I also want to flag the importance of action at the city scale in producing knowledge, taking lessons learned from actions and publishing them. That will be critical to inform the next main IPCC special report after 2023 on exactly the topic of cities and climate change, with obviously the need for a strong emphasis on solutions.
Good. Raphaël, 1 minute.
1 minute. I would like to speak after Valérie about, in my opinion, one of the main issues of the special report on ocean, but also the other special reports on lands, is that the key role of ecosystems in regulation of climate. I think it's a very huge outcome of the last production of the IPCC. It's very important, and we know right now that the key role that the ecosystems are playing. And the other idea I would like to underline is that addressing sea level rise, we have to break silo between ocean and lands, because sea level rise has to find solutions between the fact that lands, terrestrial zones, and ocean are very linked and very interconnected.
And the ocean is coming into the land, into the city. Thank you, Raphaël. Raphaël is very modest, but there is one thing he could have said, is that the proposal for a special report of the IPCC on ocean and climate change, which was then expanded to ocean and cryosphere, was originally a proposal from Monaco when Raphaël, was working for Monaco. So, congratulations. Josep, 1 minute.
Thank you. Very briefly. Well, what I take home is the energy that we this morning in the workshop and now we all have in believing that a change is possible. No? That we all have our ideas. We have a number of initiatives, number of new technologies that can help, a lot of knowledge that is growing. But again, I would like to emphasize that there will be no change unless we make the change ourselves. We have to start on ourselves. We have to push forwards for this change in habits, this change in consumption habits that are the only ones that together with the external solutions, the internal change is the only way to make this possible.
Be the change is your message. Merci.
I take home that ports and harbors must step forward faster to guarantee that we are not operating on the land, we are also involved below the water, to guarantee also the ecosystems. So I think that ports and harbors have a commitment as well with climate change and also with the oceans. And this is what I have learned today, that we maybe are not so fast as the citizens and the climate needs.
Thank you. And maybe I can add one thing with your permission.
Of course.
You know that some major shipping companies are moving to hydrogen and to the wind engine. For example, Maersk is an example, big one, big player. And they will go where there is the infrastructure to service their new vessels. So it is in the best interest of a port like Barcelona to, which is on the receiving end, to provide the infrastructure, looking forward to this transition. And Mr. Entrepreneur, that's a good linkage.
Good linkage, yes, sir.
Good.
Basically,
1 minute.
Right. My main message, very optimistic, basically because it's wonderful to see that so different stakeholders of this ecosystem are all aligned with the same message on the same page. This probably 10 years ago would have been impossible. So different approaches having exactly the same perspective. The only thing we need to do now is make sure that we cooperate and work together to walk the talk.
Yes, and now that we've broken the silos, make sure that no one rebuilds them, and we should not go back to our respective tunnels. So we still have a few minutes. So in this room, we have about 30 people, and many others are online. I think there was about, I don't know, I was told around 70 people were registered watching online. I'm not exactly sure how many are with us, but we still have a few minutes. So I don't know if someone would like to react. I mean, there are some people that I actually know here who I know have some strong views or interesting views. So, sir, I see you're raising your hand. There is a microphone so that everybody can hear you, including Valérie, please. And please introduce yourself before you take the floor.
Thank you very much for all of you. Your points of view are inspiring, and the dedication to the work is, I guess, enlightening as well. My name is Victor Horcasitas. I'm president of the United States Navy League and with Metropolitan Magazine here in Barcelona. And I would like to see if you have some insights onto the participation of the U.S. Sixth Fleet. If you engage with them here to see how they are acting within, I guess, the limits of the Mediterranean to participate and also increase their presence and protection of the ports.
That's an interesting question. I'm looking at Mercé. Do you receive the Sixth Fleet in your harbor?
Yes. We receive these ships, and I would like to say that if I understood the question that you put on the table, we receive these big vessels. Actually, Hutchinson Best Terminal, cargo terminal, is ready to receive these vessels. But we need a reflection, and we need to consider that the growth of the vessels has to be stopped as well, because if not, ports and harbors are not going to be able to receive and to accommodate these ships. So I think that the industry, vessel companies have to think as well, not only in the optimization of the supply chain, if not, we are not going to operate. We are not going to be able to operate these very big vessels. So I don't know if you are asking about that. We are ready. We have a proof. I mean, we have been receiving these vessels from this year, and we have the wharves ready, and also we have a profundity to receive these vessels. But if these vessels are going to be growing much more and much more, maybe ports are not going to serve these operations.
So thank you for your response. If I may, I'd like to add a couple of points, but I'll be as brief as possible because we could go on about this subject. Military vessels are, by virtue of international law, are subject to sovereign immunity. And I think it is important to remember always that sovereign immunity is not a blank check to do whatever they want at sea. It is the responsibility of the operator of the vessel subject to sovereign immunity to make sure that they enforce environmental and safety regulations. It doesn't mean that they can ignore environmental and safety regulations. And there are other vessels, I'm looking at the scientists here, well, that's you. Yeah. Scientific vessels are also subject to sovereign immunity, and it's not a blank check for you to do anything with your research vessels, and the same should apply to military fleets. And I trust that with the new US administration, which is very much aware of its environmental responsibility compared to the previous administration, that I hope that progress will be made.
Just a point. We are in contact with LA Port, Los Angeles Port, and we develop our climate strategy according to the climate strategy from LA Port. And I have to say that maybe it would be very interesting that Mediterranean area and sea would be declared NECA or SECA, a protected area. It would be very interesting for a port as Port of Barcelona, because there is approved in the States, there is approved in the north of Europe. I mean, why not in Mediterranean?
Thank you very much. I think maybe we can take another question. I'm not sure if within the room or online we have time for one or two other questions. It's very dark, so I'm not sure whether, thank you, whether somebody would like to, yes, I see a lady here, please, and please introduce yourself, although I think I know who you are despite your mask, but the others do not know who you are. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm Marta Cavaller. I'm from the LIFE platform. It's the Low Impact Fishers of Europe. It's a network of small-scale fishers from all around Europe that are from a small scale. So that's the very small and with the potential of being more low-impact fishers. In general, we see that we talk about the industry and but we think that the small-scale fisheries have a very key role on the developing of the blue economy. Actually, we are, I think, blue economy. We can. A lot of our members actually are very interested even to reduce their footprints and even change into another type of fuel to use and so on. But the technology is actually not there. So we are actually, this is a question for you to see if there's any advance in this issue. If we can, there's a possibility for those vessels to change into this more environmentally secure, let's say. And also because we, in the strategy in Europe and so on, we see that there's a lot of potential for a lot of direction for the aquaculture, but not for the small scale. Small scale have somehow disappeared of this structure. And we want to see any of you, if you have any views on that, and if you, what do you think is the role also from those stakeholders on this blue economy, no? Because in our network, we think we have a key role to provide, but we don't see it reflected in the strategies that are around.
Thank you, Marta. So you're speaking to the role of small-scale artisanal fishers who, through the LIFE, low-impact Fishers of Europe, LIFE, that's the name of your organization, based in Brussels, and you represent them here in Catalonia. You're working, you're making the point that small-scale artisanal fishers should be considered as custodians of marine resources, I think. And you're talking about the need for support for the green and blue transition, which is an issue that has been very much discussed in Brussels recently as part of that so-called trilogue about aid for fisheries fleets and what and to whom that should apply. I don't know if somebody would like to, maybe Ignaci would like to say something.
Yeah, just a brief comment. Fully agree on the potential and the future of traditional fisheries as let's say custodians of the environment, because it's probably the most sustainable, and it could be even improved by it more in a relationship with the policy and some procedures, not so much from a technology perspective, which also, but I think they have play a significant role. Fishing is certainly one of the key areas in the blue economy and has to be thought and reviewed in a sense not of banning, etc., but optimizing it in the different systems they are using. And I would say that there's a whole world, not only in aquaculture, but all around seaweeding and the technologies around that is really exploding right now. And that might bring very interesting opportunities for, let's say, the whole food value chain or food production in the oceans, seeing, let's say, from more broader perspective, from seaweeding, aquaculture, fishing, and traditional fisheries. So I would say it as a whole, because there's plenty of room, plenty of technologies and innovations there, and plenty of room for improvement and opportunities, because there has to be an opportunity. We've been on that from a cultural perspective for about 2,000 years, and it's important for us.
So thank you. I'm very glad you were able to take the floor, Marta, on behalf of the artisanal small-scale fishers, because people tend to always think of the big guys and not the small guys. And by definition, the small guys have less of a voice and less visibility than the big guys. When I started being involved in environmental policy in the mid-1970s, there was a book that was almost a Bible. That was Small is Beautiful by an economist, Schumacher, right? And small is beautiful. It doesn't mean that all artisanal fishers are saints, but small is beautiful, and we must protect the interests of small-scale fishers who are custodians. Yeah. Very quickly, because then we'll have to
this
shut.
This is for me a clear example of what society can have an effect on. No? If you go to you fishermen and you see that there are many choices. There are some plastic bags where you can get fishes through trolling artworks that destroy the environment and get everything and get small, large fishes. And there are other fishing arts that are sustainable and have been there for many centuries. No, it's a matter of okay, telling society, okay, will cost you more now, but at the long run, it will be cheaper. And also telling the people that can subsidize and whatever, so that these less impact arts have a more prominent. No? So I think that's one.
Thank you.
Just 1 second.
Very
2
quickly,
seconds.
because they'll tell me that.
Building on that, there's a value added in the artisanal fishing that is not reflected yet in the price.
Good, absolutely. And let's not get into the issue of fisheries subsidies, because I could go on and on and on. As some of you know, that I have very strong views about fisheries subsidies, and I work within the World Trade Organization on this issue. But let's not get into it. So I'm afraid it's time to close. I think we had a very rich conversation. Thank you very much. I think we've broken the silos. That's the first thing. And we must make sure we don't rebuild them. I think there is a strong, positive feedback on the blue ambition of Barcelona. And I see Ana Majo here with the blue engine of Barcelona, I can say, of the city of Barcelona. And I hope you're happy with this feedback you're getting from this panel. We all got the blues during the pandemic. So now let's be positive and position the sustainable blue economy as part of the ReAct strategy for Barcelona, for the ocean, for Barcelona and beyond. So thank you very much. Merci, gracias, gracias. Stay safe and keep the ocean safe.